Hi everyone, my name is Cheyenne Howlett and this is my narrated presentation on New Zealand. Today I'll be sharing some key facts on the country's history, economy, and unique characteristics. Let's get started. The Maori arrived in New Zealand by boat only about 1,000 years ago. There are many local legends about the land's origins, but one of the most fascinating and my favorite is the story of Maui, a demigod who, with the help of his brothers, is said to have caught New Zealand like a fish. In 1940, the British Crown took rule of the island with the agreement of the Maori people. This was formalized through the Treaty of Waitangi, an important document in New Zealand's history. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing any of these correctly. As of 2024, the US population stands at approximately 340.1 million, while New Zealand's population as of 2023, which was the most current I could find, is around 5.223 million. That means that the US population is larger by 334.88 million. New Zealand's currency features British royalty and is also accepted in several Pacific Island countries. The country uses a Swedish rounding system, meaning cash transactions are rounded to the nearest 5 cents. For every $1, you would receive about 1.73 New Zealand dollars, making the New Zealand dollar weaker than the United States dollar. As of September 2024 quarter, New Zealand's unemployment rate was 4.8%. Over the last several months, unemployment has steadily been increasing, signaling a potential economic downturn. The upward trend in unemployment rates over recent quarters suggests that New Zealand could possibly be heading into a recessionary stage. New Zealand's national debt stands at $175.5 billion, which is 42.5% of the country's GDP. On average, a household in New Zealand has a net adjusted disposable income per capita of 39,024 US dollars per year, which is higher than the OECD average of United States, which is 30,490 per year. New Zealand's most recent GDP is approximately 394 billion New Zealand dollars, which is about 245 billion US dollars. The country has experienced varying growth rates over the last few quarters, the most recent quarter showing a contraction of negative 1%, well, 1.0%. So, New Zealand has had a lot of highs and lows. In the 1900s, the early 1900s, there was a lot of prosperity due to the wool and dairy exports. They were actually doing wonderful. And then the Great Depression hit. And the 1970s also hit and brought back more setback when the UK joined the European Economic Community. It cut off a key export market. And in response, in the 1980s, the Rogernomics reformed and pushed more towards free market, which led to long-term growth until the 19 or not 19 until 2008, when financial crisis slowed. Um, And recently, in quarter three, the economy has also slipped into recession with a drop of 1%. But despite all of the challenges, New Zealand seems to be pretty resilient and can adapt pretty well and evolve. New Zealand is emerging from its 2024 economic downturn. Woohoo! It's entering recovery phase this 2025. The Reserve Bank has eased down on monetary policy, lowered interest rates, and is hoping for people to spend more and to invest more. Business activity is picking up, so hopefully unemployment will decline. And we predict that moderate GDP growth will happen. So looks like economic stability might be what's in the forecast for New Zealand. Something interesting I found was that July 31st, 2024, New Zealand actually updated its personal income bracket, which is seen below. These changes were believed to be made to help address the inflation and wage growth and also reduce tax burden on the lower and middle income earners. On the corporate side, though, income tax rate is pretty steady. It's at 28%, which positions New Zealand above the OECD average, which is 23.9%. This rate is applied to both resident companies and non resident companies. As of December 2024, New Zealand's annual inflation rate was recorded at 2.2, while the US inflation rate stood at 3%. Although inflation has been moderating in both countries, New Zealand's lower inflation rate suggests that price pressures may be easing slightly faster compared to the United States. New Zealand's main exporting partners include China, Australia, United States, Japan, and South Korea. The country's export goods worth was $44.5 billion. On the other hand, New Zealand's main importing partners are China, Australia, United States, South Korea, and Singapore. Imports total were $82.3 billion. Resources that New Zealand exports that are natural to the country include kiwi fruit, milk, sheep and goat meat, butter, frozen bovine meat, and rough wood. Some of the things that they import, though, are refined petroleum, cars, delivery trucks, gas turbines, and broadcasting equipment, which is fascinating because the United States also imported a lot of broadcasting equipment. This last page is my works cited, but in conclusion, I would like to state that New Zealand may be small, but is a very dynamic country. It has a rich cultural history and a growing economy. Despite economic challenges, such as rising unemployment and high interest rates, the country remains resilient with a stable GDP and a strong export sector. Thank you for listening to my presentation, and I hope you found it as informative as I did.